is Gavin Newsom. Now, I did a couple of videos over the weekend. I decided not to drop because it would have took too much approval to get him on, on the Anton Daniels channel. But Gavin Newsom recently dropped a podcast, which I believe has been pushed way down on the algorithm, so they're going to have to do something about that. But one of the people that he interviewed was Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie Kirk is a conservative, to say the least, but he's reasonable and he's logical, and he's also over Turning Point USA. And I was very surprised to see Gavin Newsom pull in Charlie Kirk as his first guest as an interview for his podcast. Now, obviously, some people seen a couple different clips. I also talked about a clip that happened on Friday that was dropped on Friday, but then the actual podcast was released over this weekend. And then Charlie Kirk was pulled on Fox News to have a conversation about whether or not Gavin Newsom plans to run for president of the United States of America. But before I give my thoughts, I want to let you see what Charlie Kirk has to say about it, and then I'll give you my insight after watching the podcast, what I think about Gavin Newsom.
Turning Point founder, CEO, Charlie Kirk. Charlie, great to have you. So last night, I knew you were on the show tonight. I tuned in, and I was listening to the podcast, and I didn't get through all of it, but first of all, you were very gracious. You were very nice. You could have gone at him really, really hard. You did it in a really nice way. And I know Gavin too well. I've interviewed Gavin. I moderated, I think you brought it up, I moderated the debate with DeSantis. And I have tried to reason with this man, and he does not listen, ever. Maybe, is this the tipping point for him? Did you get the feeling he really wants to change?
I don't know. I think he wants to be president, Sean, more than anything else on the planet. I think you can agree he has more political ambition than almost anybody in the Democrat Party. And I think he understands that the entire country is moving center right and is accelerating at a rapid pace. In fact, we are course correcting after 4 failed years under Joe Biden and all of the woke stuff and the anti-common sense movement. Gavin Newsom had me on his podcast, and I was shocked all of a sudden where he decided to diverge away from the orthodox opinion in the Democrat Party, which is as simple as saying that it's not fair that a biological man can compete in female sports. Now, number one, I don't believe that he actually has any heartfelt beliefs in this. I think it's purely political transactional. However, everybody in the audience should understand this means that we are winning at such a rapid pace that the governor of the largest state in the country, the largest Democrat state, who obviously wants to be president, has to adjust his policies against the base of the party to even be taken seriously to run for president in 2028.
Okay. Now, I consider Gavin Newsom to be the worst governor of the United States of America over California. They went from a budget surplus, in which obviously they have some of the highest tax rates in America outside of New York, to a budget deficit and suffering massively. And when I say massively, I mean massively. All right. Now, with that being said, if you watch the podcast, Gavin Newsom seems to be distancing himself from the far left. Let me say it again. Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, and I said that this was going to happen, I said that he was eventually going to try to become president of the United States of America when he was doing those photo ops, when he was acting like he was cleaning up the streets of San Francisco, when he was out there, bringing cameras with him in order to make sure that he cleaned up homelessness, and he seemed like he was a working leader and he was leading from the front, prior to him actually bending the knee to Trump when they had those fires just a couple of months ago. Gavin Newsom was already putting himself in a position because he knew that Trump was going to win president of the United States of America. But in order for him to become president, he has to become more moderate. He has to come into the middle. He has to be a Democrat from yesteryear. And I hate this because it's actually a smart idea. As bad as he is as a governor, Gavin Newsom seems to be the only Democrat. And Charlie Kirk was giving him the blueprint. He said, man, listen, what is wrong with y'all? Why do y'all become so illogical between this Democrat over here and this Democrat over here, where y'all can't even say that it's not right for a man to be in a woman's sport or for men to be in women's bathrooms? And Gavin Newsom actually conceded. He tried to justify his conceding by saying, well, these people are suicidal and I don't want them to mentally or emotionally be broken as a result of it. But it is not right. And it's overly messed up about how uncompetitive it is for a man to participate in women's sports. And all of the Democrats said, what? Now it's up to us to be able to see the chameleon in Gavin Newsom. But the point is the fact that he's even, unlike this last congresswoman that was just talking to Scott Jennings, for example, the fact that he's listening and he's at least trying to say, even if he does something differently, which we know Democrats are notorious for doing, the fact that he's even considering and listening tells me that he's not concerned with being governor of California anymore because he has term limits. But he is eyeing president of the United States of America in 2028. Let's continue.
The problem is it's so transparently about political expediency if he's going to change his core beliefs. And here would be the biggest problem that I would see that he has. He has something called a track record. He's been in government. He's the mayor of San Francisco, lieutenant governor for 8 years. At the end of this term, he'll have been governor for 8 years. He has a track record. So I don't think you get to run away from the positions you have been holding for decades just by talking to conservatives like Charlie Kirk. He never invited me on the podcast. I'm offended, by the way. I'm very offended. I feel left out.
Well, you should text Gavin. And secondly, you're exactly right, Sean. There was a moment of
before you went on.
There was a moment of podcast. Yeah. Well, no, and look, there was this back and forth where I drilled him. I said, look, you have the highest cost of living in California. You have the most homelessness in the country in California. You have the highest poverty rate in the country in California. You have the second highest home prices in the country. You guys control the House, the Senate, the governor's mansion, lieutenant governor's mansion, secretary of state, and the attorney general, and every statewide elected office for the last 20 years. How is this Republicans' fault? What record are you going to run on? And you could, every time there's anything California specific, you know this from moderating the wonderful DeSantis debate, he gets hyper aggressive and focuses on one little minute detail, and he just tries to bring you down into the ditch. But everyone has been voting with their feet when it comes to California over the last couple of years. They have net population loss. People are leaving in record numbers. They also had the highest gas prices, unnecessarily highest gas tax. And so, look, there's nothing to run on except for the fact that he is very slippery and slick, and he's trying to reinvent and rebrand himself. And look, I'll talk to anybody at any time. There was a whole part, too, where I even got him to tacitly admit that President Trump is unlike any other cultural phenomenon we've ever seen. He's like, oh, yeah, I went to the Oval Office with President Trump, and I had a great time with him. I said, well, are you going to work with President Trump with ICE and Immigration and Border Patrol? And, of course, he had a slick answer to that as well. But I think there is a looming Democrat civil war happening because Gavin Newsom is realizing that if he does not come to the middle on a lot of issues and magnify some of his positions, there will be no chance for him in a general election. But President Trump has completely remade the American body politic, and you can start to see the most opportunistic Democrat of them all, Gavin Newsom, at least attempting to adjust with some of his rhetoric. We'll see if his actions follow.
Thank you.
Gavin Newsom, hear me and hear me clearly. Hear me and hear me clearly. I've been saying this at the rooftops, and I want to tell you what his strategy is going to be. Gavin Newsom, let me turn this blue to Democrat blue. Gavin Newsom is going to run for president of the United States of America, and he is changing his position to rebrand himself, just like Charlie Kirk said. I said that he was rebranding himself a long time ago. He's ran California into the ground. California has had liberal policies, and they've been trash ever since. And so I think that not only is he about to run for president of the United States of America, he's putting Kamala Harris on notice because Kamala Harris has a decision to make of whether she wants to run for president in 2028 or governor for California in 2026. He's pushing her that way. He's trying to eliminate the competition, and he's somewhat rebranding and going against the grain of what the Democrats stand for today to come more towards the middle to hopefully, in his opinion, probably appeal to a wider range or a broader audience, not to the people that's going to be loyal to the Democrat Party no matter what. Because we know, for example, black people, y'all pride yourselves on being a 92, 93%, 77, 78%. We know that y'all hate Trump. Y'all gonna hate Vance. Y'all gonna hate Byron Donalds. You gonna hate Vivek Ramaswamy. You gonna hate all of these people. So we know that. We get it. We got you. Same old playbook. But in order for anybody to even have a chance to become president of the United States of America in 2008 on the Democrat side, which we all know that that's not going to happen, Gavin Newsom is probably the most charismatic of them all. And he is the one that is willing to rebrand himself and go against the cultural norms so that he can have a chance to possibly face J.D. Vance. His track record says one thing, but we know that Democrats are going to run based off of how you feel, not necessarily what you've done. His track record may say one thing, but I'm telling you, and he's smart enough, even though he's done a horrible job, he's smart enough to at least recognize, you know what, I'm reading the room, and I have to be more of a charismatic leader to then move more towards the middle and align myself with Republicans, which is one of the reasons why he was greeting Trump the way that he was greeting him when Trump first won president of the United States of America, or when he won a second time, and then he met him off the plane when he was trying to make sure that he get that funding for those wildfires. He was very diplomatic, very accommodating, very helpful, very loving when it came to the Trump administration. Oh, yes, Gavin Newsom is the slipperiest of them all. And I think that he just might have a chance. I think that he might have a chance of coming out of the Democrat side as far as the potential candidate for being president of the United States of America. I don't think that he has a chance to win, but I think he has a chance to beat out all of the rest of the Democrats. And it is a civil war that's about to happen. I think that Jasmine Crockett is trying to market herself more. I think that AOC is trying to market themselves more. When they doing what they doing today, for example, Democrats, especially Congress people, know that they have no power whatsoever. They have zero power whatsoever. They are lame ducks in a Republican-led Congress, president. We control all three branches of government, so we're going to get some stuff done. And we moving with the speed of an Olympic sprinter. All right? So they're not concerned with actually doing anything meaningful. They're concerned with marketing themselves. Everything you see Democrats doing today, they're not doing it on the behalf of the people. They're not trying to reach out to you. They're not trying to resonate with you. They're trying to build up their following and build up their track record and build up their visibility so that they can then position themselves for what their future opportunity presents them. They not focused on the now. They're focused on holding on to the position that they have and making sure that they can put themselves in a greater position to possibly run for president or governor or whatever. Everything in politics from a Democrat side right now, because y'all so under duress, because y'all lost, is trying to galvanize your base and trying to get the people behind you so that you can run for whatever your next position is going to be. When you see these people on all these platforms, on The View, whatever, they're just basically getting their reps in. Smart. And it is smart. But they are positioning themselves for what they want, not for where they at. That's a fact. They position themselves for what they want, not for where they are. And I can't blame them. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to get this blue off my... Can't do this extra blue. Let's go back red, y'all.